Hi everybody, welcome to Tech Children Academy. Today we are going to be talking about React components. And it says components are like functions that return HTML elements. Let's proceed. So React components. Components are independent and reusable bits of code. They serve as the same purpose as JavaScript function, but it works in isolation and returns HTML. Components comes in two ways. We have class components and function components. So in this tutorial, we'll concentrate on function components. In other React code bases, you'll find class components, which are primarily used. So it is now suggested to use function components along with hooks instead of class components. So class components are still supported, but in more of our videos, you will see more examples. Let's go. So let's go to the next slide, which says create your first component. So when creating a React component, the component name must start with an uppercase letter. React components return HTML code. So let's create our first. So in this aspect, we can say function. Remember, it has to be in capital letter. Function item, so we can say return, let's say H1. I have some items. We've done this several times. Let's export it. Item. Then we will import it here. Item. It should have, oh no, it didn't. So let's check our results. I have some items in this. So let's proceed to the next slide. So the next slide is talking about rendering a component. Now your React application has a component called car in our example, which returns an element. To use this component in our application, let's refer it in the example below. But because we don't use create root again, so we don't need to do this. So let's proceed to the next slide. We have props. So arguments can be passed in a component as props, which stands for properties. You send the arguments into the component as HTML attributes. You will learn more of props in the next videos that I'll be making. So we have used an attribute to pass a color to the car component and use it in the render function. Okay, so let's cite our own example. In this situation, we are going to say, okay. In this situation, we are going to call our own function taste. Then we are going to say return H1 and say, I love the taste of. So in this place, we are going to call the props dot. Let's call it varieties. Good. So let's come to this thing and say all taste then we'll say varieties because we already called it varieties equals to apple. We have our all taste exported, yes. So let's check our results. We should have, can you see in our results, we have I love the taste of apple. So in this situation, we just used props in this situation. I hope you understand. So let's proceed. In this next video, we'll be talking about components in components, that is having two components together. So we can refer to components inside another component. Let's cite an example in this place. In this place, we are going to still make use of probably let's make use of our all taste, but we'll comment this one. Function all taste let's say return H3. I love the taste of apple. Then in the other aspects, this one function, let's create another function again. We'll call it function goods. And we're going to say return let's say H1. And we'll ask a question, what is your, and we would ask a question here saying, what is your favorite? And in this section, we are going to call in having, we made mention of having components in components. So this is our first component that we have that is all state. We called this all state inside there, and that is what we want. So now let's export it, which is goods. And let's come here. So since we already have this one here, and I think we'll have to remove this all state. Since we've called it inside this thing, we already have goods. Let me see if it's up already. No, it's not yet. So let's include it. Goods. Now let's check our results. What is your favorite? We called a prop having components inside components. What is your favorite? Then I love the taste of apple. I hope you are understanding it and you are getting along with me. Thank you. So let's move to the next one. We have rendering a component twice. That is, we can render a component multiple times. In this example, we have used the car component twice inside the garage component. So let's proceed. Let's cite our own example. So we're going to create another function and probably call it, or we just need to come here and say all taste instead of creating another one again. That's just it, all taste. Now let's check. As you can see in this example, the car was they used the car component twice inside the garage component. I love the taste of apple and I love the taste of apple. There's another example that we can work on, in which says the example above might be a bit useless, yes. But if we change the content of the car component by using arguments, it makes more sense. That is, if you want to list out, okay, maybe 2 cars, and you say or let's say with the example I stated, I love the taste of apple and I love the taste of banana. We can use arguments. So let's go and let's set out our another example. So in this aspect, we'll comment this one out and say function all taste. Do I still have all taste on? Yes, I do. Function all taste function all taste. We are going to pass in a prop here, prop. Then we'll say, oh, props. Please don't always miss this S out as well, because I made that mistake. Return, let's say, return H3 and say, I love the taste of, we're calling it props here, props dot variety. So we can, varieties. So we can have multiple values in this place. That's why we are still making use of props again. So let's proceed. Now we'll create another function, function goods. Function goods and we'll return it. Please don't forget to always use fragments so your code will not be affected. Then in this aspect, we'll say H1 says, what is your favorite? What is your... I had to rewrite it so that you guys can understand very well. What is your favorite? Yes. So now, this is where we are going to call all taste. All taste varieties is equals to, is equals to apple. And again, we'll still call all taste again. All taste varieties is equals to grape. What's the error that we have here? What are we saying? Okay, the fragments. So that's what's affecting our code. So now let's proceed. We've exported goods. Now let's check our results. Can you see in our results here? I love the taste of apple. So now this one looks useful and okay and original. Like it makes sense. That one, the first example that we had looked like it was senseless, perhaps. But now this makes more sense, which is I love the taste of apple and as well, I love the taste of grape. I hope you are getting it. So let's move to the next one, which says components in files. React is all about reusing codes, and it can be a good idea to split your component into separate files. So like the way I have a function greet, function good, function all taste, I can have function all taste inside one file. I can as well have function goods inside another file, and I will export it inside each other and they can work. So they said it's a good idea to split your components inside separate files. To do that, you have to create a new file in the SRC folder with a JXS file extension and put the code inside. Note that the file name must start with uppercase character. The new function file, we can name it very cool. You can just try it out and you see the results. I hope you have learned something from this class. Thank you for watching this class. Do well to follow us across all socials at Tech Israel Academy. See you next time. Bye.